She won most talkative in high school, and she has been running her mouth ever since. Welcome to the Lisa Fisher Said podcast with your host, Lisa Fisher.
You know, it's been a while since I've talked to any expert in the intermittent fasting field. So, Michelle, you are my expert for today. I want to hear about your journey because Clean Fasting Mama is really the best social media.
Thank you,
hashtag,
Lisa.
or it's not a hashtag, your handle. But I love the fact that you include the clean fast in it. So that makes me think there was a time you weren't clean fasting.
Actually, quite the contrary. So basically, I found out about intermittent fasting through the book Delay, Don't Deny by Jen Stevens. And so because of that, I was clean fasting from the start.
Good.
But I had a lot of people coming at me saying that they were fasting and this and that. And I'm like, but you're drinking Coke Zero all day, So I did. I fasted clean straight from the start.
Tell me when you started your journey.
I started my journey in January of 2020. And I was pretty much at my lowest point in life. Mentally, physically. I was probably nearing 200 pounds. I'm 5'3". And I was super uncomfortable. I was having a ton of health issues. And I had done tons of diets. So many diets. I've been dieting since I was 16, about 16 years old. And since I had my babies, in my early 30s, I began to gain more weight, and it just became kind of like, oh, you're getting older. This is to be expected to happen to you. I went to a lot of doctors for my health issues. Not one mentioned weight. Not one mentioned nutrition. Not one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Basically, I started January 24th, 2020. And I have not looked back since.
Then a pandemic hit. And that's when people say they gained all this weight because they were relying on the booze and the carbs and the other things. So what were you doing when your peers on your cul-de-sac were saying, let's have wine night at 7 or 8 p.m. And you're thinking, I closed my window, girls. I'm not doing that. How did you handle that?
Well, listen, I think when COVID came out and everybody was flipping their lids and we were on lockdown, I think we all went through the same stress in our own unique ways. But when that hit, I had lost about 10 pounds at that point. I was about 54-ish days in.
Okay.
And so I got super worried, and that was stressing me out even more. I'm like, I've made progress. I'm super happy with the progress I've made. And now we have a pandemic. I'm surely going to gain this back, and I'm surely going to fail. But I just said, I'm going to do whatever I can every day, as long as I do any kind of fast, whether it's 12 hours, whether it's 16, 18, whatever. Keep it clean fast every day. And in my windows, I gave myself what I needed. If it was booze, I drank the booze. If it was a cookie, I ate the cookie. And I was up 7 pounds after here in Florida, we were able to come out and the kids went back to school. I had gained 7 pounds and I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep going and see what happens. And then we were getting into summer. And that's when the real bulk of the weight just shed off. And I met my goal in October, nearing the end of October, of 140 pounds.
So in 10 months, you lost almost 60 pounds?
Pretty much.
Wow. And you even had a little weight gain. You had an uptick and then a downtick, and it all resolved.
Yep.
You're saying a lot of things that if anyone's read Jen's book, Delay, Don't Deny, much of this resonates in that you're saying, I delayed my gratification, but I didn't deny myself during that time. And so here we are 3 years in, it's almost 2023. You're about to have your third fasting birthday. Has anything changed with the way you eat or approach food or your windows, or are you still about the same?
Well, so it's kind of all over the place, but in general, so when I hit my goal, I did lose a little bit more after that. I think the lowest number I saw was about 135. I haven't seen that in a little while. I hover around 140, but just like anything, this is life. You're going to go up a little, you're going to go down a little. You have to expect that once you hit maintenance. But my protocol when I was losing was Monday through Friday. I did at least 2 to 3 20-hour fasts. And then every other day I kept it around 19 hours during the week, Monday through Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, I would aim for about an 18-hour window with a 6-hour eating window. Or 18-hour fast, 6-hour eating window, I'm sorry. And so I kind of just evolved. I started very slow, and I think that's where a lot of people fall short and fall off the wagon, so to speak, is that they try to bite off too much too soon. Working up to a longer fast is always my best advice. But yeah, it's been quite the journey.
What was your longest, or what has been your longest fast?
Some people do like overnight fasts. I'm not into that at all. I support people in my group who do up to 42 hours. However, the longest fast I've done is about 25 hours. I just find myself, I can't sleep. I get way too
hard.
energetic
Yeah.
at night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I would say I've only done a few 42-hour fasts. I did do a 5-day fast last summer therapeutically because my doctor thought he saw a precancerous adenoma in my colon. It was not. So I was doing it for the autophagy, right? Because I'm at the weight I'm going to be probably until I'm pushing daisies. So, but with that, I would say anytime I did an overnight fast, the hardest time was hour 25. And I've heard other people say that there's something very challenging in your brain that you're going, I can't do it. Again, we don't win any medals. You still lost 60 pounds. You didn't have to do it. So I want people to hear that we're not wanting you to suffer discomfort in order to lose the weight. We want you to be comfortable as you do this. So it's a way of life, a way of eating, and you don't have diet brain, because diet brain says, well, you have to do more, you have to go further. No, you don't. You still lose 60 pounds in 10 months, and you're killing it there in Florida. So you've done absolutely the right thing, and I give you permission to never have anything more than 25 hours.
Thank you.
24 hours.
And I really don't feel the need for it.
Good.
Like yesterday I did 20 hours by accident because I was chaperoning a field trip, and you're just so busy with the children and stuff. And distractions are my number one, key to getting through a fast.
Yes.
But, I do now in my maintenance, I've been in maintenance a while. So I do about 1 20-hour fast a week. And other than that, I aim for 18, 19 hours a day and about a 5-hour eating window.
Jen says that she felt like, and I think she may have talked about that in Fast Feast Repeat, that she felt like her sweet spot was just a 5-hour eating window. She goes, but that could mean a longer fast on this side, maybe a shorter fast on that side. But she goes, if I kept it in 5 hours, and Dr. Bert Herring, who wrote the 5-hour diet, the original 5-hour diet and appetite correction, in both books, and if you find him online, it's a little harder. He presents the science that there is something kind of magical about a 5-hour eating window. And that's very respectable.
It is, because I find myself, and I still, even after almost 3 years, I'm still on my app hitting my timer because it just gives me a sense of like control and accountability. But if I find myself hitting that, I'm like, I'm starting to feel sluggish. It's like, oh, it's been 5.5 hours. That's why. I'm going to go ahead and close up now.
Oh.
And so I just close up, and I do prefer like to be done eating for the day by 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's the way I like it.
Well, Dr. Fung talks about that. Dr. Ben Bickman, who wrote Why We Get Sick, they both just on their social media this week, hearing them say, we all have the shorter sunlight hours because the Earth's...
Oh, I saw that post, yeah.
Yeah, and they were saying that it's challenging if you can get your food in before the sun sets, which in Arkansas right now, and by the time this airs, it'll be around 5 or 5:15. It's challenging. They said that's best for your circadian rhythm. But there are a lot of people who I counsel who don't get home from work till 5:30. They don't start cooking. So I understand that. And you have to, that's the great thing about fasting. There's not a right or wrong way, except a wrong way is a dirty fast.
Yeah,
I will
100%.
I will die on that hill to say that you are sabotaging your success by drinking the Coke Zero all day, because you're really making it harder.
Oh gosh. I mean, anyone out there listening, please, if you are doing anything but drinking a clean, fast beverage, meaning black coffee, water, plain seltzer water, plain black tea or green tea, those are your clean fasting beverages. When in doubt, leave it out.
Yeah.
And the thing that the story I like to tell a little bit, it's a short one. My cousin had caught on to my fasting and she needed to lose some weight. And she called me one day and said, I've been fasting for, I don't know how many months. I didn't even know. And I haven't lost any weight and I feel like crap and I'm just struggling. I'm white knuckling. And I said, well, let me ask you, because she never asked me anything about it. I go, what are you drinking when you wake up now? Just black coffee, water? Like, what do you drink until you eat? I drink Coke Zero all day. I go,
oh my gosh.
Okay. I'm like, you need to stop that. And she was open and fine with it. And she goes, that's it? She didn't know. And so she stopped. And then she called me about 2 months later and said she dropped 30 pounds.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
That is how much it was hindering her.
People need to hear this. That there is truth. So, okay, so you and I know the science of it. She was releasing insulin. Insulin is a fat-storing hormone. Even though there's 0 calories, your body thinks flavor. You release insulin, and then you hold on to this insulin. You can't tap into your fat stores. You can't tap into your fat stores until your insulin is low. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was funny because I'm like, I know her so well. She's working out. She's doing all the right other things. Yeah. So once she starts clean fasting, this is going to totally come off fast. And I was right, and now she's totally into it. And, it is a lifestyle. You have to adopt it as your lifestyle.
I would say that small component is such a huge hurdle for weight loss, because that is probably, and it's also the people, Michelle, which I respect them. They get a little glimpse, or they see it here on social media. They hear about it here. So they take what they know and go, oh, I'm not going to eat for this many hours. But they really don't do the deep dive to know. But this means just water, unsweetened tea, black coffee, green tea, or sparkling water during that time, because those are the ones that will often stop me on the street and go, now I've been doing that fasting because I've heard you talk about it. But girl, I'm stuck at this weight. I've got 15 to lose. And the best question to ask is, what are you drinking in the morning? Because most times they'll say, I just put this is it. I put just a splash of cream. It's
just a splash. It is just a splash. You know how many times I've heard that too? But it's just a splash of almond milk or whatever.
Almond milk. Right.
How could that? I said, is milk, is it have fat in it? Yes, it's a food. You're putting food into your drink, and then your body expects what? Food.
More food. Doesn't it make you, haven't you sometimes, and this has happened to me, one time I drink, I'm not a coffee drinker, so sometimes in the morning I might drive through a place and get unsweetened tea. You have to yell that at them at the window.
Yes.
Because most of the world drinks sweetened beverages.
Yes.
So when I drive through, and one time she gave me the McDonald's, it's $1.07. And I gave it to her and I put it up here. You can feel the sweet when you can smell it. And I had no place to spit it. So I swallowed it. I was hungry within 20 minutes.
Oh, of course. And I'm sure you had a physical response as well, right?
Totally. I one time had this where I thought I was new to fasting and I was going to delay my dinner, I remember. So I was maybe about a year or two in. My fasting birthday was November 24th. I started in 2017. Okay. So, I've been doing this a while. But the first year or so, I was just going to delay my meal because I was going to do one really big meal with a dessert, a glass of wine, all the things. And so I'd driven through, I'd been watching my grandbabies, and it was 1:00, but I wasn't going to eat dinner till 5. And I could, it'd been easy. And so she said, I said, I'd like an unsweetened iced tea, please. She goes, would you like some raspberry flavoring? And she said to me, it's got no calories. So in my brain, I went, okay. Within 20 minutes, I left there. I was shaking like this. I was sweating. I felt nauseated.
Oh, yeah.
That I was going to the mall to get some lipstick, that I had to go to like a Chick-fil-A and get some protein.
Yeah.
I just said, I need some grilled chicken on my hand, you know.
You're like, just give me protein.
I needed some protein because I felt so bad. And then I went, oh, the raspberry flavoring. My brain thought raspberry cake was incoming. So it ushered all this insulin. It was doing its job.
Yeah.
And it pushed my glucose down too low that I felt sick. So never again. But anyone listening, if you're in the morning doing that splash of cream, that splash of almond milk, it is putting a dent into your success. Okay, so when you started in 2020, so in 2019 is when I think the medical science journals in the world of medicine started recognizing that intermittent fasting. I think Harvard or the Journal of
New England Journal of Medicine.
Yeah, New England Journal of Medicine. I think that was like in December of 2019 that it gave the thumbs up. So then on the Today Show, or one of those morning shows, Hoda Kotb and the Bush granddaughter, they said they were fasting. And so I think they said, so I'm drinking my, said I just put a little stevia in my drink in the morning, and then I have 50 calories. They said 50 calories is, you can have 50 calories in the morning. And I remember Jen Stevens, when she was doing her intermittent fasting podcast then, pulling her hair out saying, please don't listen to them. Please stop. You're just sabotaging your weight loss success. And so this is when did you realize, Michelle, this isn't about calories, it's about insulin? When did that light bulb go off?
Pretty quickly, actually, because I armed myself with a lot of knowledge first before I started. Reading the books is 100%. When I say the books, I'm talking about Jen's books, Feast, Fast, Repeat, or Fast, Feast, Repeat, and Delay, Don't Deny. Right. Once I read Delay, Don't Deny, I feel like the light bulb went off. But it wasn't until I hit appetite correction. And I switched from my from just burning down glucose every day to actually burning down your glucose and then tapping into those fat stores every single day, otherwise known as ketosis,
right?
Which we naturally go into every day through intermittent fasting.
I remember Jen addressing that. She said, you don't have to be on a ketogenic diet to reach ketosis. She said, you start producing ketones. She said it around hour 12. And I think Fung may have said that too. I can't, I've heard so much in my day. But she said, because I had a baked potato yesterday and I know I'm in ketosis today, and it was after 12 hours. So that's a magical time. I think appetite correction, I was not prepared for it. I was not prepared for going to my birthday dinner 6 weeks in and sitting down and again, kind of having my splurge of a glass of wine, my birthday cake, the steak, the spinach Madeleine, and then a few bites into it, I just went, I can't eat anymore. They were like, Mom, are you okay? And I went, I don't know. I can't. Mom's never missed a food on her plate. And it's this time where your brain says, drop the fork. You're done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that knowing, like, to be able to tap into your satiety signals. Yeah. Because through fasting, we are able to listen so much easier to our body. So when you hit appetite correction, your body, like when you hit that, I think Jen calls it the sigh, when you're eating and you're like, yes. Okay, well, that is my sign. I'm full.
Isn't that amazing?
And so I will rarely eat very much more after the sigh. But even more important than knowing when to stop eating is knowing that your cravings are going to change over time. That's part of the
Yeah.
appetite correction. Like,
That's
so
a good point.
you might have craved cheeseburgers before intermittent fasting as your treat or your, whatever your go-to. And, now it's, avocado toast or something.
I
Like
know.
it really does. My taste buds have
Yes.
totally changed.
A man that I've coached, he's a celebrated chef in the state of Arkansas. He lost 100 pounds pretty quickly. And
Wow.
celebrated chef, like he cooks
Yeah.
for presidents, governors, you name it. He's at a country
Wow.
club in Arkansas. And he said he'd been obese since like he was 15 and he's 60 now. And he called me about 3 months into intermittent fasting and he lost like 80 pounds in about 3 months.
Oh my
He had
goodness.
He had a lot he needed to lose.
Yeah, it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he called me maybe about 3 or 4 months in and he said, "Damn you, Lisa Fisher." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "I'm craving Brussels sprouts." He said, "I've been a chef for 45 years and I've never eaten one." He goes,
Isn't that
"I
funny?
can't get enough of them." I said, and he's the one that always tells me, because people come to him and go, "What have you done? Sensei,
Yeah.
tell us." And he always says, "Just listen to your body." And
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant then because my body was telling me so many things, but it was telling me things that I didn't know. Like I thought it was telling me to eat more, but I needed to eat less. I thought it was telling me to eat more often. It was telling me to eat less often. So once you get into this groove, this hand in glove kind of that you're talking about, that you're at your 5-hour window or whatever's magical for you,
Your sweet spot.
your
Yeah.
sweet spot, then you wake up and go, I don't need to overeat. That's why holiday time doesn't freak me out. I'm not worried about a holiday weight gain. Yeah, you've been through some holidays since then. Probably didn't gain any weight.
Nope. I've actually lost weight over the holidays. Not this year because we're not totally through it, but
Right.
last year I lost a few pounds, probably just from stress. Like,
Well, you know what I think it is too? Because we know Dr. Fung explains this. I think Jen does too. Yes, she has. The more we eat, the higher our metabolic rate goes up. Not that I'm denying myself food, but I don't think I eat as much as I did till 2017. So that's why I think you do so well on weekends. You may eat more in that 6-hour window,
oh, I totally do.
and that's what keeps your metabolism
Yeah.
in tip-top shape. But that is a total paradigm shift from what we've been told.
Absolutely.
Jenny Craig told us to eat 1,200 calories, and that was it.
Yeah, well, exactly. I cringe. I
Yeah.
recently joined a gym, not a regular gym, and I never even thought I would be back in the gym, but it's they're little saunas that hold like 3 people, and you do an infrared hot sauna workout. They're like
Awesome.
30 minutes, and the
Awesome.
cardio's 15-minute classes. Anyways, it's really, wow, holy smokes. I highly recommend it.
Good.
But they have this thing called diet tracks, right? And it basically wants you to track the calories you burn during your workout. And then there's a leaderboard. Whoever burns the most, like, wins something. I don't know. And then, the owner of the franchise will come on before your workout and say, don't, if you're a level 7 at diet tracks, you've burnt the most calories and blah, blah, blah. And it just like, I'm like, this is just so frustrating. Like, if they just knew, because calories are dead. They're come on, you know it, right?
Right. I totally know it. But what you're saying is something, it's like it's an inside joke for us. We
Yeah.
listen to that and scoff, but still the world is chasing everybody with their Apple Fitness watches. My son the other day said, "Mom, why don't you have an Apple Fitness watch?" And he's the one that taught me about intermittent fasting in 2017. So he has my same thinking, but he uses it for other things with movement and sleep. It's kind of a biohacking thing for him. And I said, because I don't want people coming to me going, "How many calories did you burn in Pilates?" Or how many, because I said, it doesn't matter. He goes, "Mom, you can look beyond that." I go, "I can't. I don't want that dinging in my ear." And another thing, so there's a businesswoman that I know who owns a fitness facility, and she's super smart in the way she runs her business. One time she said, "Lisa, what you ought to do is what I do with my girls in my club is I put them in a competition." in January. Whoever
Yeah.
loses the most, and and they hand in their caloric count for the day. And I said, that is not anything near my thinking.
No.
I don't want anyone to have diet brain around me. I don't want anyone to look at a calorie around, or my clients around me, because it doesn't work long term. We know that. Look up the Minnesota starvation experiment in the 1940s,
Yeah.
and you'll see it. Ansel Keys had erroneous, as many things he published was erroneous in our look at calories, and that we will cut off our own hand in order to get food because hunger wins.
Yeah.
And so
Of
don't
course.
you see now? You don't have the hunger you did back when you ate more often.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, listen, I know when to expect the feeling of being hungry in my day.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been fasting almost 3 years. I still wake up every day around 12, 13 hours fast, and I get the feeling of hunger. Okay.
Same.
Because for 38 years, I woke up and ate
Yes.
every day.
Yeah.
We were told breakfast, most important meal of the day, right? My mother wouldn't even let me leave the house until I had breakfast.
Right.
So yeah, I expect it at 12, and then I also expect it around 16, and then I'm fine, and then until the end, and then I open my window, I give myself what I'm craving, which is, as I'm getting a little older now, I crave protein a lot. I'm not keto at all, but
Yeah.
I'm focusing more on my protein intake. I'm not trying to be like count your macros or anything like that. I eat carbs. I don't deny myself pretty much anything, but I am very picky with quality. Like I won't eat like just anything. It's like I can't eat fast food anymore. It just doesn't like me. I can't really drink wine anymore. It doesn't like me.
No,
but
it's not
it's not to say I
window-worthy.
don't like a cocktail sometimes,
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, we definitely get pickier. With Chef Jamie says that, and Jen says that whether it's window worthy, that I would just pass because I know my body would thank me if I had longer hours to fast and reach deeper in autophagy. If I skip that drive-through that the family's going through, I go, I'll be fine.
No, I totally do that. Like I'll be driving through Chick-fil-A or something with my kids, and
Yeah.
Picking them something up to eat real quick. And I mean, last night I did have a Chick-fil-A salad. Once in a while it happens because I had no time yesterday. But usually I'll skip and pass, especially if it's like a McDonald's or something like that, because I know whatever I'm going to eat there that I open my eating window with, I'm going to feel terrible afterwards.
I know.
I mean, it hits me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And I just feel lethargic. Sometimes I get a headache. Like
me
it's
too.
it's just not a
Not
good
worth it.
feeling. Not worth it.
Okay, so in 2020, then, so you cleaned up the way you ate. Did you start then with an 18 and 6? Is that what you were saying?
I started super slow. Like I started about 14-hour fast when I first started my intermittent fasting, because I didn't want to set myself up for failure. I wanted to try something shorter to see if I could even do it, because I was the type of person that, I ate every 3 hours like a baby,
Me too.
I carried snacks in my purse.
Me too.
For me, not my kids.
Yeah.
For me.
Right.
And and my kids. But that's how my mentality was. So I'm like, let me just take, I'm going to just bite off a little piece and see if I can do it. So I did the 14. That was super easy. So the next day I went for 15. That was pretty easy too. And then I kind of rolled into the 16-hour within like about a week and a half or so. And that was very, very doable. I felt really great with it. Within a month, my face went from being like, to like, just immediately, you see it come down in the face, the inflammation.
Immediately decreases. Immediately. And then you pee a lot more the first month because as you become more insulin sensitive and you lose insulin. Insulin resistance makes you hold on to fluid. And then when you become more insulin sensitive, you eliminate waste quickly, and including you urinate more. So the first month, some people will say that's like one of the first things I notice. And they always say, because I meet with my group clients for 5 weeks straight, and on the fifth week, it's like day 28. They've then weighed that day, kind of like Jen does in Fast Feast Repeat. And every time they say, "Oh my gosh." After a month, I noticed that I have jaws again, or my clavicle,
Your
I see shoulders, collarbones. Yeah. And I said, it's just that inflammation just decreasing, no matter how much weight you've had to lose. So we start looking at things, and I bet you have, in root cause, because that's what, it's kind of had me shine the spotlight into my health as to what was my root cause. Why was I holding on to weight? Now I went through it was probably, mine was premenopause or perimenopause at that time. My thyroid died 20 years ago. But after each child, I noticed, I would lose the weight, but then I would have a few pounds, stuff like that. So what do you think? Do you think you had PCOS? Do you think you were pre-diabetic? What do you think your root cause was?
So like I said, I had been to so many doctors. So I had gotten tested for all those things. I did. I thought I had something going on, hormonally maybe with thyroid. I was convinced I had a thyroid issue. I checked out 100% fine. And so the root cause, I feel, was simply hormonal. Because after I had my kids, that's when the weight really started to pack on. I got super stressed and busy. I was a, stay-at-home mom with 2 kids under 3. They were both still in diapers at first, and it was stressful. And I would eat their leftovers. I would eat crap, I would drive through wherever and pick up whatever, shove it in my mouth and go. Or, I would pour my coffee in the morning, and I pour my whatever that stuff is, International Delight flavored creamer. I put all that in,
right.
It was like a milkshake basically.
Yeah.
And I'd drink that in the morning first thing, and then I'd have like whatever I thought was healthy. I don't even know, maybe like a bowl of oatmeal. But my point is, I would just be eating the whole day long into the night. And then alcohol became a real crutch for me because of the stress. At the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I need a glass of wine. And I literally, at my worst, I would just down an entire bottle, not at one sitting, but in one night, I'd be like, oh, I just finished that bottle of wine by myself. Like, that's not okay. So yeah, it was the booze, it was hormones, it was just the constant snacking. It was a lot of things.
Well, I don't have good news for you, because doing the math, you might be about 38, 39, 40, right?
I'm 41.
You're going to have to chase the hormones even more now, because in perimenopause.
I'm in perimenopause already. I'm in early peri.
Oh, okay. They say that most women are. We just didn't, unless you're really looking, that's when things start to shift. That's when you start waking up at 3 a.m. That's when you have to wake up in the middle of the night to pee. That's when, or your periods get heavier and things.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't on time, because I'm 60, so I wasn't on top of it at 41. I started noticing in my mid-40s that I wasn't sleeping through the night, but I did morning radio for years, and I got up at 3:45. So my husband would go, so you get up at 3, what's 45 minutes? I'd go, everything.
Everything at that time, right?
And so that's when I was about 45, probably about 15 years ago, that healthcare provider said to me, I think you need progesterone. So have you started progesterone? Have you started pursuing that?
I looked into it, and they did try me on a progesterone-only birth control pill, and it was a terrible experience. My body just didn't want it. Every aspect of bad came out of that. So I stopped it. Then they tried a low dose of estrogen, birth control pill to try to balance things out. That didn't work. That was just as horrible as it was when I took it in my 20s. So at this point, I'm trying really hard to use fasting to balance my hormones, but not just fasting. It's really what I'm eating too. So the more and more research I'm doing, it's basically saying that I'm not getting enough protein.
Right.
And so for the past 10 days, I'm not a track your, like I said, I'm not a track your food kind of person. I hate that. But I just wanted to do a little experiment, because I had this sneaking suspicion, because I'm not a huge red meat eater, that I was not getting enough protein. And sure as anything, after my first day of tracking, I'm like, I'm getting like 40 grams in a day.
Yeah.
That is like nowhere near where my goal every day is 100 grams.
And you can even bump up to 140. They're saying 1 gram per pound.
Yeah.
That's a lot, though. I don't know. I weigh 150. I can't get in 150 grams of protein
difficult.
a day. But if you can get to 100, that's a great goal.
I feel so much better, Lisa, since I've been getting.
I believe it.
I don't always hit the 100 mark, but I come really dang close every day. And so
I believe it.
I'm about, 2 weeks in now of tracking, and total difference. And adding in my workouts now, I'm starting to actually see muscle definition. I feel stronger. Yeah. I don't feel as lethargic. So yeah.
I would say protein. That's the one thing I didn't know either in my 40s, to increase that and to abandon. I mean, anyone will tell you, Dave Asprey, others will say, abandon any vegan and vegetarian pursuits for women, perimenopausal women, and then beyond, because our bodies need so much of it. The one thing I would have you look into, and I know you're not asking me my advice, but just because I've walked that path, is to look at the bioidentical hormone replacement progesterones.
Do you use the kind that you like put in your skin, or?
Well, I do that. Here's my testosterone. That one is the transdermal, but the progesterone I take through capsules that are done from my Cornerstone. Cornerstone does compounding pharmacy.
Oh, you're compounding, yeah.
Yes, for the progesterone. There is one that may be big pharma sells, but I'm afraid it's synthetic. And so you just, I know, people can't see you. She just made the face like, ew, no, stop, you, David. David.
David. So I like you got that reference.
Right. I mean, that's the face you made. You were
that was the ew David face. Yep.
Yes. And so then I do estradiol in a pellet about the size of a piece of rice that's put in my butt cheek. So it takes me several ways. But this thing, look, it's all working fine.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Did you see my face when you said you're 60? I was like, what? Well, that cannot be.
I would say fasting has a lot to do with anti-aging. And so even all the healthcare people, even in the health space of facial, plastic surgeons, are saying high insulin ages you. Mm-hmm. Everybody listening, lower your insulin.
It's pretty simple.
And that's right. How many times a day, how long your eating window is. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. But lowering your insulin definitely helps with anti-aging, and then bioidentical hormone replacement therapy does the same thing.
Yeah, I will have to check with my OBGYN. I'm coming up on my annual, so I feel like my symptoms are getting better, but I am waking up at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Like, I've never been a good sleeper though, so I'm not really affected by it. I go to bed at like 9:30. I have 2 little kids, so I'm just good. By 9:30, 10 o'clock, I am done. So
good. When I was getting up at 3:45, I remember I was in my 40s, 50s. I remember my functional medicine healthcare provider said, "You're not going to like this, but you get up at 3:45. I want you to go to bed at 7:45."
Huh?
Like my kids would read me Goodnight Moon while I'd suck my thumb and go night night. I mean, it was still light outside. I was like the kid going, but Mommy, it's light outside.
Right.
But I had to do that. And that was before I was fasting and doing some other it's biohacking is really what it is. Sure. And it's working with your circadian rhythm, but it was very challenging. So now I try to do 10 to 5:30 or 10 to 6. Yeah. I still try to get 8 hours.
I feel like 10 to 6 is like the perfect sleep for me. 10 to 6, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's talk about then any challenges you've kind of faced in the last few years. Like, has there been a real stressful time that you lost a loved one, or you moved, or you had another baby? Those things also will affect your cortisol, which affects your insulin resistance.
100%. And, Lisa, thank you so much for asking. That's a super important question, because people think that just because I lost a bunch of weight and I've kept it off this long that like I have nothing that happens in my life that's stressful, and my weight never goes up or whatever. So in 2021, so to give you a little backstory, I broke my tailbone when I was 21, and I have had lower back issues ever since, but nothing too crazy, right? So I was sitting in my kitchen one day, and my oldest son, who is super just all boy, running around, playing with his brother, he by accident totally comes running into my lower back, and I was like, oh, and I just felt it, and my back went out, and so I ended up getting an MRI, and lo and behold, I have a 10 millimeter bulging disc in my lower lumbar pressing on a nerve. I had pain going down the backs of my legs. My feet were not just in pain, but like my toes would go numb. It was a mess. And so I went through months of trying to use physical therapy. I was from neurosurgeon to neurosurgeon. I had 3 different neurosurgeons ready to do spinal surgery on me. Now I was fasting this whole time. Every day I just put in the best effort I could.
Good.
I was fasting every day. But I was not going to accept it. I was not accepting. You're not operating on my spine unless it is 100% needed. So I went and got a 4th opinion.
Wow.
It's important to know the first 3 doctors I saw didn't have a lot of surgery experience. So they, at the end of the day, they just wanted you on their operating table.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
No, thank you.
So I go to a doctor who's had tons of experience. He's, highly rated. He looks at me, and at that point, Lisa, I had found this compression belt. It's called the sacrospinal belt, and it kind of like helped with my nerve pain, and I would wear it all day from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. And I was about a week into wearing this belt, and my pain level had gone from like a 9 every day to like a 4 within a week. And I'm like, is this like a magic belt or something? So I asked him, I'm like, this belt is really working. And he goes, let me see you stand up. I want to like physically examine. And so I'm standing there, and he goes, why would I operate on you? He goes, look at you. You're standing up. He goes, are you having any pain when I do this or that or this or that? Or if you bend over, do this. I did all his tests. I was fine. And he goes, why in the world would I operate on you? He goes, keep doing what you're doing.
Good
he goes, I don't,
golly.
he goes, I don't, he goes, I don't want you to, he goes, I like you, but I don't ever want to see you again. Like, I hope I never see you again.
Right.
So I'm so glad that I took that step and not just took what the first doctor or the second doctor said on surface level. I would have been in the spinal surgery. And guess what? I'm fine now. I'm able to work out.
Do you know people who have the surgeries are often in pain until they die?
Yep, exactly. That's why I was trying to avoid it like the plague.
So tell me about this compression belt. Did it compress? Did it reduce the inflammation around the disc? Is it still bulging?
Oh yeah, it'll be there for the rest of my life. And I have little like spurts of where I'm like, ooh, or I don't I have to modify some exercises. But the compression belt, basically you wear it you don't wear it on your waist, you have to wear it on your hips. So it looks a little weird at first because you kind of have to put it a little tight. And I was a little bit like, oh man, I look a little strange, but I didn't care. I wasn't in pain anymore. And the nerve pain was gone. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'll put this thing on forever. I ended up wearing it pretty much not 24 hours a day, just all my waking hours for about, from August to about February, I wore it. And then I started to lessen the time of, that I wore it. I didn't want to become so dependent on it. And then after a while, I just was able to lose it. And I don't really wear it unless I know I'm going to be like walking around Disney World all day or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is. I've done tons of physical therapy, acupuncture, and now I'm strength training through my own like body weight and resistance training.
Good.
So.
Today in Pilates, I heard the instructor saying bulging discs. There were some whatever we were doing. It may hurt or hinder. It was something with the bulging disc. So it's the first time I thought, oh, that could really make things worse, or maybe it does improve it. Does Pilates make that kind of stuff better?
You know what's funny? I did Pilates for years in my 20s and into my early 30s. I was like a Pilates fanatic. I love it. I love Pilates. But now I find, because my gym does have a Pilates class, and I'm scared to take it because there's a lot of, like, you're sitting on your sits bones a lot.
Yes, that's
in
what we
that,
were doing
like,
today.
V position,
That was it. Mm-hmm.
I can't sit like that.
Okay.
I simply
Then you can't do
cannot.
it.
Yeah, so I do other things to strengthen my core. I'm always trying to focus whatever exercise I'm doing. I'm focusing on my core, and it is helping. Is it helping as fast as something like Pilates would? Probably not, but I have to know my limitations because I don't ever want to be where I was with my pain.
Pain. Yeah, people who suffer in pain are the people that I have the most empathy for, because
It's
a lot of
bad.
times you don't
Yeah.
see it. You can't
No.
see it on them, but you were suffering. With the 60-pound weight loss, Michelle, has your skin retracted? Do you feel like it's hanging over your stomach? Because that's a lot of weight.
It's funny because at first, after you have babies, you have that little pooch, the little baby
yes,
pooch.
yes.
And I thought, my back, like, I can't explain it. I didn't do much exercise other than just, like, I did a bit of jogging, walking, and, like, mowing the lawn in Florida. But
Which is like
I
an
didn't
Olympic
do any,
event.
like, specific exercises to my back. And all of a sudden, all my back fat was just gone.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's crazy. And then I'm like noticing other areas of my body just tightening up naturally. And I'm like, how is this? Like, this is crazy. Like, this can't be. But, yeah, my body has totally changed. It's body recomposition. And, I am definitely smaller now than when I got married, and I'm the exact same weight.
Is that right? Isn't that
Yeah,
neat?
because I put my wedding dress. I'll put my wedding dress on. It's too big.
Oh.
There's tons of room in it.
Oh, I love that. So when you said you dieted, were you a serial dieter that you did Diet Center, Weight Watchers, all the things?
I never did Weight Watchers. I was pretty much like, I'm going to do whatever, is the latest trend. So I did South Beach diet one time, which actually wasn't that bad, but it was very kind of restrictive, actually very restrictive now that I think of it. I tried like keto. I could not do keto.
Yeah, it's hard.
It made me super, like, I just couldn't do it.
Jen
my
Stevens
body
hated
didn't like it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
didn't
just
lose a
couldn't.
pound.
Yeah. So, and then, it didn't work. So then, I've been on like the cabbage soup diet. That was a really long time ago. And then, like, after I had my first son, I knew this girl who was doing a multi-level marketing thing. And she was selling these wraps that were supposed to shrink your stomach or something.
I remember
And
seeing those.
It was really convincing, right? And so I sort of jumped on that. I'm so ashamed to say it. And I tried to be one of these MLM people and sell people these wraps. And then they had all of these supplements to help you lose weight. They had this one that was you could eat all the carbs you wanted, and it was supposed to flush the carbs out of you. I mean, give me a break. So that didn't work. Then there was another one that was supposed to make you burn more calories.
Right, but how does the FDA or FTC not regulate that stuff? Because I see someone, I got an email from someone the other day about her carb blocker or whatever she called it. I went,
Yeah. So
does anyone ever lose 5 pounds? Did you lose any weight doing any of that? No.
Listen, I lost maybe a couple pounds here or there, but honestly, now that I look back, it was probably just a natural fluctuation in my weight.
Right.
Right. And I didn't some of my clothes started to fit better. Did the wraps work for, tightening your skin? Yeah. If you have like a photo shoot and you have to go quick about it, but it's not a permanent fix or anything. It's just, again, snake oil, and fasting is free. We don't need any supplements. We
Isn't
just
that
don't.
Wonderful?
It's absolutely the best.
Now, have you turned your focus now into coaching people?
I'm trying to. Yeah, I've had a few clients and I really enjoy it because I have a support group on Facebook that I've been doing for a couple of years, and so I'm like, well, I've been doing this for free for so long.
Right.
I would like to just be a one-on-one kind of coach. So I'm getting there, and I'm trying to take steps to make myself more like have the certifications that I need and all that. So that's to come, but I do have a website now, and I'm taking certain steps to get there.
Okay, I'll put all that in the show notes. What's your
Yeah.
website? Is it Clean Fasting Mama?
It's actually fastandfabulouspodcast.com.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because you're a podcaster too.
I'm a newer podcaster. I am.
Yeah. Well, it's just getting the word out because, again,
Yeah.
podcasts are free and people can listen. Now, one thing I want to encourage you about is you don't have to. I am certified through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York for health coaching, but they don't cover anything on fasting. So my fasting expertise is from the School of Hard Knocks of reading the books, getting the science. You have it. So I give you permission. I hereby grant you queenhood of the fasting world, and I knighted you, and you can, whatever they call it, you can start doing it, because this is what I've learned. In the beginning, I remember thinking, because I was still on the radio. When I was on the radio at a morning show, I would tell people about fasting. So I was giving, I was coaching them. And people would still say, oh, I started in 2017 when you were on the radio.
Yeah.
And then I would think, well, why would I charge anybody? And then someone stopped me and said, Venus Williams, the greatest athlete in the world, still pays a coach to coach her because we all have blind spots. And we just want someone sometimes to hold us accountable that we're on the right track. Because there are questions in the beginning about fasting that you think, this is crazy that I haven't eaten in 20 hours and I'm not dead.
Right.
And you just need someone to bounce it off. They'll say, you won't die. You'll be fine.
Yeah. You're going to be okay. Or
you're going to be okay.
There's a lot of people out there too that like start out fasting and they don't have a support system, or maybe their family's like thinks they're crazy or starving themselves, or they have an eating disorder or something. And they get, I've had people come to me and be like, my family thinks I have an eating disorder because I'm intermittent fasting. I'm like, oh Lord, and there's people like that who just really need somebody to like hold their hand, be supportive, give them tips and tricks. My goal is to not have a client be with me for, years on end. I want to set you up so you can do this yourself
and push you out,
set you free like a bird,
I feel the same way. And it's funny, I tell people that after my 5 weeks, I'll say, okay, go fly. And they'll go, but what if we need you? I go, you can still email me, call me. I said, if you've done 5 weeks and we've been through all the science, you have all the knowledge. Now it's up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do feel like Glinda, the Good Witch at this point, where she says, Dorothy, and get back to Oz. Yes, that's right. Get on your way. Well, you're doing a great job, and you're encouraging people. Let me ask you, are you married now?
I am. I'm married. I've been married.
Your husband do it?
Yes, he is a faster. He has been fasting as long as I have. However, he kind of hit a plateau for a long time, over a year, but he was through a lot. His dad passed away and stuff, and he's got an aging mother who has onset dementia. Stressful. So there's a lot going on in his life. But recently he wanted me to coach him, and I've tried in the past. Yeah, I've tried in the past, and it's, husband and wife, it could get a little
very hard.
Squirrely, and he doesn't want to listen to me sometimes. But he's like, I promise, I'm going to do what you say this time. I was like, okay, read the book. He hasn't read the book yet. Okay, it's still in there. It's still on his desk. I think he's getting through it because he'll start to say to me certain phrases from the book like, did you know this? Like, or did you know that? And I'm like, oh, he's finally reading it.
Finally. The Bible says that a prophet is without honor in his own hometown. So sometimes I am going, why aren't y'all asking me? Because I got the answer here. So, but it helps that you're on the same. My husband and I have pretty much the same fasting schedule. He obviously, weighs more than I do, and he's very fit, and so he needs more nutrition. So sometimes he might have to have another something later, which is fine. I mean, again, I'm not here to judge what he's doing, but we're not completely in sync, but we're pretty close. We're aligned.
Wonderful.
Isn't that parallel when you're that way? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been married now?
11
That's
years.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. Keep going, girl. Go all the
Thank
way.
you.
It's worth it.
It's,
There-
marriage is work, and you got to
It
put
is
the work in.
Such work. There are days that I just wanted to cash mine in. So we're at 35 years. 35 years for us. So.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Well, you're doing a great job. You're a great encouragement to my listeners. And we'll link even your podcast. Let me put that down here. I have to write these show notes because ADD, I'll forget. But we'll put all that in the show notes. But you're doing a great job, Michelle.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on. It's truly been an honor. I really, really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Lisa Fisher Said podcast. Be sure to hit subscribe and download all the episodes and leave a review, won't you? The Lisa Fisher Said podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.